Hello everyone, Self-Love School. It is such a privilege and pleasure to be here. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Nikii Syme and I am the creator of Love Unleashed. I work with women who are ready to find their partners, but they keep attracting the wrong men and they don't know why. So we really focus on self-connection, building self-love to then be able to get into that vibrational state to attract in the love that we desire, or they desire and deserve. I actually just watched a video that popped up in my memories of my baby in my belly and him moving around. So I'm just all a bit like, ooh, so beautiful. And made me very grateful for sex, because, you know, without that, then he wouldn't be here. I'm actually just going to shut this curtain because it's really bright. Thought I might have needed it. Right, how's that? Ah, that's better. I'm not so shiny. Amazing. So if you are jumping on watching, please make sure that you say hello in the comment section, and if you're catching the replay, check a little hashtag replay in there. And if you have any questions, please make sure that you pop them in. I'm not sure how long Ingrid's going to keep me active in the group, but I will endeavour to answer them before I get removed again. So yes, if you do have any questions come up, then please feel free to ask them. There are no stupid questions. This is a safe space. I've heard it all. I've probably experienced it all. So yeah, please don't feel like you need to hold back, because yeah, we're all here to learn, right? All right, so I just wanted to start off initially with a bit of a story about me, and so that you get a bit of an understanding of, you know, where I have been, where I've come from, and how I've managed to get to where I am today. So I was born in New Zealand. I grew up in a family unit where my parents were really unhappy in their marriage. My dad had manic depression, so bipolar, but we didn't know about it throughout our entire lives until I think it was about 17 was when we found out about it. And of course, for those of you who are aware of what bipolar is, it's incredible mood swings. So it's a mental health disorder, incredible mood swings, so extreme highs, extreme lows. And yeah, incredibly unstable. And yeah, so this kind of resulted in a really unhealthy relationship with my father, which carried out obviously into my dating life and meeting men. So my first boyfriend, he was a bit older than me, daddy issues, and he was very sexually active. I remember, I lost my virginity under a tree to a one-night stand because I wanted to be ready for this guy who was a bit older than me. He ended up cheating on me, the guy that I was with, and yeah, that kind of spiraled into a really messed up relationship that I kind of formed. Like, it was like an experience that happened to reaffirm my beliefs around men and being loved by men and not being worthy of love. And then, yeah, spiraled me into a really kind of unhealthy relationship with sex. So I can remember being incredibly highly sexed from a very young age. I think I was masturbating from, we were still in Christchurch, so I must have been around the age of 5. Yeah, so first orgasm at around that time. I was experimenting, exploring my body, and was like, oh, that feels good, and went with it. But when we were growing up, it was very much a hush-hush. Like, it wasn't something that was talked about. It wasn't openly discussed in my family, and we never got the birds and the bees talk. We never got told about our bodies and our anatomies, and that it's normal to feel this stuff. It's normal to be turned on. It's normal to experience orgasm or wanting to touch, etc. So yeah, I remember one time coming downstairs and my dad was still up watching TV. And I kind of peeked around the corner because I knew I was meant to be in bed, and there was a sex scene on TV. And I was watching it, and I was like, oh, I'm really curious about this. And then he caught me and he was like, get out of here, this isn't for you to watch. And like lost it. And I was like freaked out, of course. So that implanted an anchor in me that sex was bad or sex was naughty, and it's not for something for us, like young people, to be involved in. But I also remember, you know, finding his porn in the drawer and watching that and getting really turned on and not knowing what was happening, and just kind of getting this sensation in my vagina or my clitoris, and you know, wanting to do something with that. I would do something, and then I would feel this guilt and just shame and disgust around it, like thinking there was something wrong with me. And that purely came down to lack of education, and not having that safe space in the family unit to actually be able to express that, or understand that everything that I was experiencing and feeling was completely normal. So this kind of carried through into my life. So obviously I got cheated on, and then that spiraled into a really unhealthy relationship with sex. I had a belief running that in order to be loved, I had to have sex. So this resulted in me having sex a lot when I didn't actually want to. I remember after Glenn, the first guy that cheated on me, I went through a phase where I was just going out and sleeping with any guy I could for validation, to make myself feel worthy. I felt like I had this belief that, I did have this belief that I was good enough if men were attracted to me and wanted to have sex with me. This carried out for years, and I actually remember one time I went out one night and met this guy, and got back to his place, and I was not physically interested in him at all, and I ended up having sex with him, and the whole time I was just like, I don't want to be doing this. I don't know why I'm doing this. This is not okay. This is not healthy. I felt sick, and I literally got straight up. He passed out, got straight up and took off and just disappeared. And you know, it was still a long time before I actually confronted that stuff and really dealt and moved through with that stuff, because obviously the underlying of all of that was, I am not worthy. I am not good enough. I need this validation from these external situations, these external people, to make myself feel good enough, and I need a man to want to have sex with me to believe that I was deserving of love. And that was how I kind of received love. So of course, when you know, you get into new relationships, and then hello Emily, welcome, lovely to see you. When you get into new relationships, and you know, you're all hot and heavy and excited initially, and you can't get enough of each other, and you're wanting to have sex all the time, and then naturally that kind of subsides and calms down a bit. When that would happen in my relationship, I would take that as, you know, rather than it just going, okay, this is a natural progression, it was very much, oh my God, he's not into me anymore, he doesn't want to have sex with me anymore. And that's where I would put in my self-sabotage and my self-destruct mode to basically flip it, to get to the point where I was just pushing him away so much that he was just going away, and then I would end it before he had the opportunity to end it with me. So this really unhealthy pattern kept happening, kept playing out. And then when I was single, I was promiscuous, and I was still going out and having sex with people that I didn't necessarily want to have sex with, and but all doing it because I was just desperately seeking that external validation that I am good enough, I am worthy, I am good enough, without realizing that that stuff has to come from within. So this was a massive part of my life. It was a huge journey, and probably something that I never actually really cleared until, gosh, I must have been about 30. So that's only like 3 or 4 years ago. I can't remember how old I am. I think I'm 34. I'm pretty sure I'm 34. So that's only 4 years ago. And that's a lot. That's a long time to carry that through. And I look back on it now and go, wow, like I lost count of how many men I slept with. And I'm not saying that it's not okay to go out and have sex, but my intention behind the sex is what was not okay. And that was, that validation, seeking my worth and seeking that I am okay, I am lovable. If this person wants to have sex with me, then I am lovable. Yeah, so that was a really interesting journey, and one that, of course, I'm incredibly grateful for, because without that I wouldn't be where I am today and being able to help other people. But definitely, if I have a daughter, it will be very, very open conversation about sex, and especially with my boys as well, is making sure that that conversation is happening around sex and that it's okay. So that is a little bit about my journey with the whole exploration. Throughout that period too, I was very into masturbation, highly sexed, as I said, totally into self-pleasuring, love it. Like, it was definitely something that I would do most days, and was something that I kind of kept hidden a lot. It was very much under the covers, it was secrecy, it was often attached with feelings of shame, of I am disgusting, I can't believe I did that, that's disgusting. And in the moment it's all hot and heavy and sexy and you're like, oh, this feels really good, and then afterwards, and I think this is a really common thing, like I've had conversations with my partner about it, and he's experienced similar things as well, of there's that level of shame and disgust in yourself. And a lot of that is to do with society, I believe, that it's not spoken about for women particularly, like it's expected from men, but it's not spoken about for women particularly, that it's okay for a woman to actually be a sexual being, to actually crave sex, to enjoy sex, to want to have sex, and to crave and enjoy and want to masturbate. And I think it's turning. I like to believe it's starting to shift, because it's definitely becoming more in the awareness and being spoken about more. But for a long time, it was very much hidden under the covers, like, oh God, women don't masturbate, which is so not true. Like, I know so many women that do. But attached with that is also this whole kind of belief that there's something wrong with you. And I remember feeling this for so long, of just thinking that there was something wrong with me. God, not knowing if anyone else was doing these things that I was doing or experiencing what I was doing, and feeling like there was no one that I could actually talk to about this. Even at school, like the sex ed at school, there was just nothing for young women, nothing for, females. It was very much focused on men, and then you look at porn and all of those kind of things. It's just very much male dominated, that whole sexual self-pleasuring industry. So when I kind of wanted to kind of start releasing and really stepping into self-love, my journey with masturbation changed a lot. So when I essentially, before I met my partner, I went on about a 7-month journey to self, because I'd fallen into this horrific relationship and wanted to really, like, it was my catalyst for change. It was like, okay, I'm accepting all kinds of things that I should not be, I'm definitely not worthy of, just like not deserving of. He was an alcoholic, drug addict, like all these things that just totally went against all of what I stood for. He was highly sexed, but he used to just fuck me. There was no love making. And I just really lost my way and lost my sense of self. So when I came out of that, I made a really intentional decision to remove all men from my life entirely, completely celibate for 7 months, which was amazing. And really took that time to get to know myself again, to figure out who I was, what my values were, how I actually felt about things, what my beliefs were that weren't determined by anyone else. Because often a lot of our beliefs around everything are actually not our own. They're like things that are being pushed on us from other people when we've been growing up. Our belief systems are formed between the ages of 0 and 7. So in that time, that imprinting time, when we're hearing so much from our parents and role models and teachers and friends and, family members, etc. And so often we can actually get all these beliefs placed on us that are not ours, and we lose sight of who we are and what we actually stand for and what we believe. So this period was really about reconnecting to that and dropping the beliefs that did not serve me and did not belong to me, and really stepping into my truth and knowing who I was, what I stood for, what my beliefs were, reconnecting to myself and sexually from a place of connectedness and love, as opposed to seeking validation, or what's the word I'm looking for? I can't remember, I can't think of it, but it'll come to me. So more of a place of connectedness to self and self-love, as opposed to self-hate and feeling guilt and feeling disgusting and that kind of, punishing, I guess you could say. Which sounds strange, but filling voids. Yes, thank you. There you go. So that 7-month period was a really beautiful time to really connect back to myself and my truth, and especially around sex. And my biggest discovery with that was definitely just how much I was using sex to validate, and how often I was actually having sex for fear of being left, fear of not being good enough. I went through this period where I was like, I have to have sex with him every day, otherwise, and I actually had developed this horrific relationship with porn due to the first guy that ever cheated on me. Of course, I didn't know that he was cheating on me at the time, but he stopped wanting to have sex with me and was just watching porn. So I was kind of setting up traps to see what he was doing, because I had this feeling that he was still masturbating, but he was refusing to have sex with me. And I remember, finding that this was all happening and just going, okay, well, he doesn't want to have sex with me, there's something wrong with me. Little did I know he was cheating. So I developed this kind of belief and this anchor in me that if someone was watching porn, then it meant that I was not good enough and I was not fulfilling, their needs, and etc. So this actually transferred into my relationships by way of having sex with people constantly. I need to have sex with them at least daily to keep them satisfied, so that they don't need to be watching porn, because if they're watching porn, then he's going to leave me. And that was my belief around that, thanks to what I had experienced. So I had a really unhealthy relationship with that. In my relationships, that all came down to having sex for not enjoyment. It was literally fucking. It was squeezing it in wherever I could to make sure that he was satisfied and not going to do anything and not leave me. And I really lost that connection to enjoyment with it, which is not healthy. It was really unhealthy, and it fucked with my head so bad. God, I hope Ingrid's okay. I should be sweet. It fucked with my head so bad, so much in my relationships that, it literally drove me insane, made me a crazy person. And if he didn't want to have sex with me, then I would automatically drop into, oh my God, there's something wrong with me. So I knew something had to change. Obviously, there was massive shifts. And that's why I decided to really kind of dive into that relationship with self, building that self-love, getting really clear on, who I was, really building that up, that solid foundation, to then be able to go out into the world feeling whole and complete, but not needing anyone in my life, not needing anyone to validate me, not needing anyone to sleep with me to feel like I was okay and good enough. And this was beautiful. And when I first actually decided to go back into the dating scene, I did actually do it because I wanted to have sex. But my intention behind sex this time, why I was wanting to actually have sex, because like I said, I'm an incredibly sexual being and I enjoyed masturbation. I had gone down this beautiful relationship again and gotten to know myself really well, and was enjoying masturbating from a really beautiful space of self-love. So when I actually stepped out, I was like, yeah, I love that, but nothing beats a man. You just can't, it's just not the same. So I was ready, but my intention behind it this time was very much coming from a place of wholeness, not of needing that to make myself feel something. And that's what I'm about. I'm really about empowering that in women, because, we are sexual beings, and it's totally okay to actually crave sex. It's totally okay to want to have sex with people and to go out there and get it. There's absolutely no shame behind that. So if that's something that you want, then fucking own it, but ensure that your reasoning behind it is coming from a place of love and wholeness within you, and just because it's something that you really enjoy, not from this need, this I need this person to want to have sex with me, because if they don't, then there's something wrong with me, or I need this to make myself feel good enough or feel whole or feel complete. And that's the difference. It's always about intention, you know. And that's what I always check in with, is like, okay, I'm doing this, what is my intention behind it? And I even noticed it when I kind of got into my relationship. So I obviously started dating, and I just kind of put myself on Tinder a bit and was exploring that, and met a couple of guys just for one night stands, which was perfect. I was really clear about what I was after, straight up. And then it was Ken's Ironman. I was like, I'm going to bag myself an Ironman for the weekend, sexy, hot, fit man. And that's when I met Gary. And I actually noticed that all of my old conditioning, because it's, you know, there's one thing when you're kind of doing all this work, when you're not being triggered, and you kind of get to that point where you're like, oh yeah, I'm great, I'm so ready for a relationship, like, oh, I've got it all sorted, all my triggers are gone. And then you actually get into a relationship and boom, trigger city. And I had that, and I had old patterns coming up and wanting to dive back into that whole, I need to be having sex with him every day because, you know, if I don't, then he's going to cheat on me. And yeah, all this stuff happened, and it was a real beautiful process with him, because he, for the first time in my life, I was able to actually express to someone what was going on and what was coming up for me, and we worked together to really move through that. So now it's very much intentional. It's having sex with him because I want to, not because I'm like, well, I have to have sex with him every single day, because if I don't, he's going to masturbate and whatever. So now that I've got to that beautiful space, that when I make love to him, it is very much from the intention of wanting to give my body to him and to feel that connection, and to be close to him and be intimate, and there's no fear behind it, there's no neediness behind it, there's no reason, like validation. I'm actually in that space within myself, that beautiful loving space of knowing that I am enough just as I am, that I am worthy of love, without it meaning, without the sex stuff, you know, that and he's not, you know, if he jerks off in the shower, that's okay, like he's not gonna leave me. Yeah, so that's essentially kind of been my journey with all of this. Sex is, if you have any questions, Emily, please don't hesitate to comment, like, what's your relationship with sex? How do you feel about it? And masturbation, like, is it something that feels taboo for you? Are you comfortable with it? Do you do it regularly? I have to say, since having kids, it was funny, I slipped into a bit of I'm a mum now, I don't do that. Not consciously, but subconsciously. So the masturbation side of things has dropped off, and actually since doing that real work on myself as well, there's been less of a need for that too, because I think I was even kind of, and it sounds quite strange to even verbalize that, but even when I was by myself, like, that was something that was still very, like, I was masturbating and orgasming because it was feeling something in me. Whereas now it's, very much an intentional thing. I actually spend time really touching myself and feeling into what it is that I want, rather than just going in there and rubbing one out, you know, with the dildo. And I very rarely use a dildo anymore. I used to use a dildo all the time. Whereas now it's more about touch and just caressing, which is beautiful. It's a really beautiful way to get to know yourself. And this also actually benefits your sex life. And this was a massive thing. It's like, when you know what it is that you like, what it is that you want, what turns you on, when you get into relationships or you have men in your life, you're able to actually express that to them. And I hear so many women that have never even experienced an orgasm before. And I'm just like, how is that possible? And it just comes down to not knowing exactly what it is that gets you off, but also not having that confidence within self to express that to your partner. And here's the thing, guys love that. Like, men want to be told what you like. They want to please. They want to get you off. Gary says it to me all the time. The sexiest thing for him is seeing me get off. They love it. And he also loves it when I can actually express to him and say, okay, not loving that, maybe try this, or this is amazing, or, you know, I really like it when you do this. So being intimate with yourself and exploring yourself actually allows you to express what it is and know who you are, know what you enjoy. You know, like for me, like rubbing around my breasts and just kind of grabbing like that turns me on. Whereas for you, it might be just like rubbing the arms or grabbing the butt, like whatever it is. We're all different, we all enjoy different things, but when you actually start exploring that through self-pleasure and getting to know your body and know your erogenous zones and what really gets your juices flowing, then that's incredible. And you can actually share that with your partner, or share that with the person that you are choosing to make love to. So a really beautiful way to actually start, like if self-pleasure is something that you feel a little bit awkward with, a little bit uncomfortable with, it's not something that you've really dived into much or explored much, a really beautiful way is just to really start, is just to really begin just by gently caressing yourself. And it doesn't have to lead to anything else. It can be purely that you are just, hi Ashes, how are you? If you have any questions around sex and self-pleasure, please pop them in so I can answer them for you. So a really beautiful way to kind of start with this is just touching yourself. And it doesn't have to lead, like I said, it doesn't have to lead to anything more, because it's not necessarily the first thing that you want to be getting into. It's about getting to know your body. So it's just doing little things like stroking up and down your arms, and then stroking over your chest and down your sides, and just kind of noticing what feels really good and noticing what doesn't really do much for you, but just spending that time to actually love on yourself. And that's part of self-love, is that, you know, being able to hold and like hug yourself. Doing this is just so beautiful, just touching yourself. And we often forget that we can give this to ourselves, because we give so much of it to other people, so much affection to our kids, our partners, our friends, our family, and not back to ourselves. So this is really beautiful. And even if that's as far as it goes, that is still self-pleasure. That is still looking after yourself, like squeezing your legs and, you know, grabbing your boobs, whatever it is that, you know, you like. It's totally okay and totally normal. And another really beautiful thing you can do is actually just get butt naked, and just stand in front of the mirror and look at your body. Look at your body. Look at your vagina. Get to know your vagina. Like, how many of you have actually looked at your vagina and gone, oh, wow, okay, that's my bits. Put a mirror down there and get to know yourself. When I get naked, I get turned on as fuck. And usually that ends up in something else happening. But it's a really, you know, getting to know your body and your anatomy and seeing yourself is a really beautiful way of loving on yourself and really embracing all that you are. So stand in front of a mirror naked and look at your body and pour appreciation onto your body. Love on every single part of it, even the parts that you don't like, and know that nobody's body is perfect. I love my body. I have stretch marks. I have cellulite. My thighs touch in the middle. My boobs are starting to go like pancakey from feeding kids. I have wrinkles, but I can actually stand in front of the mirror now and love all of it and be appreciative for all of it. Sure, I would much prefer not to have cellulite, but it's there, and there's no point in wasting energy and pushing, you know, negative energy into those things that can't be changed or don't, you know, they make you unique and make you you. So that's a really beautiful way to kind of start with the whole self-pleasuring thing. And often you'll find that just by doing that stuff, by just stroking just standing there and getting to know yourself, exploring your anatomy, like looking at your body and looking at your vagina and like your breasts and everything, you'll actually get quite turned on, and you'll possibly lead to, you know, heading down that road of masturbation or whatever. But I highly recommend not using pornography, because pornography, yes, it's a tool that, you know, can turn you on, but it also, unless you're watching specific types of pornography, it can be quite, I don't know, disgusting, for lack of a better word. And yeah, just really connecting with the feeling, the sensation of touch. And that's, you know, that is what will actually get you off. And then just start moving down south, start exploring that area, getting to know yourself. It's really beautiful. Does anyone have any questions around that? If you do have a bit of a unhealthy relationship with sex, like I've explained how I did, a really lovely way to kind of drop in and explore that is really checking in with that intention behind what it is that is driving you to want to have sex with a stranger, want to have sex with your partner. And your soul, your body knows. Like if I already know, like I always know when Gary asks me if I want to have sex, and I'll just be like, no, or yes. Like checking in with your body and asking your body what it is. And if it's a no, then know that it's okay to say no. Even in a relationship. If you're in a relationship and you don't want to have sex, it's okay. But also exploring why you don't want to. Is it because you don't like being naked, you don't, you know, like your body? Like, are those the things that are kind of holding you back, insecurities and fears? Or is it just generally like, I'm really tired and my body just needs me to nurture meat right now? See, there's a difference there. And asking that question will actually help you also decipher where you're kind of sitting at in that level of self-love and that level of, you know, where you're kind of hanging out in regards to your insecurities around who you are, your body and that kind of stuff. Let me just regroup. And we'll actually show you where you still need to do some work on yourself to actually get to that space where you know you are enough. Your body is merely a vessel. It's not who you are. Who you are is in here, not in the physical form. Yeah, so just recapping, for self-pleasure, if you're wanting to kind of start exploring that, knowing that it's okay, it's beautiful, and it's a beautiful gift that you can give yourself, getting to know yourself at a deeper level, pleasure in yourself, giving yourself pleasure. It's beautiful and something that you are worthy of and deserving of. And it doesn't always have to involve like the full masturbation. It can be simply touching, hugging yourself, you know, speaking kindly to yourself, just touching, enjoying that. And then, yeah, you know, looking at yourself in the mirror, your beautiful naked body, and appreciating all that is. And in regards to sex, if there's kind of still stuff coming up around that, insecurities and stuff, or if you kind of notice that you have sex when you don't necessarily want to, or you're seeking validation to fill that void, or whatever it is, really checking in and asking yourself, okay, you know, I'm in this position, do I really want to have sex? No. Okay, why not? Okay, it's because I literally just don't feel like it, or I feel insecure, I don't like my body. And then you can actually go, okay, so how can I change this? How can I work on this? What can I do to improve my relationship with this? To know that I am good enough and I am worthy to have sex with the lights on and enjoy it, you know, and step fully into that confidence and love within yourself. Because when you can do that too, sex just opens up entirely. It becomes a whole different ballgame. It's like you just lose inhibitions and you open yourself up fully to whoever you're with, and enjoy and explore and have fun and really experience orgasm at a new level, and that's another thing, actually. Have you experienced an orgasm before? Like I said earlier, so many women haven't. I'm just like, what? Why do you have sex otherwise? But no, that's not true though, because sex is not always just about the orgasm. It's an added bonus. But yeah, if you've never experienced an orgasm, why? Why not? Is it because you haven't discovered what really turns you on? So really get to know that those parts of yourself, those erogenous parts that just get you going, that you're just like, oh, this is amazing. And then you can share that with your partner. And trust me, he will love it or she will love it. Knowing how to please you. Yes. Okay, so using sex for validation. I feel like I have covered everything that I wanted to cover with you, my loves. As I said, please pop any comments or questions that you may have around this topic. I'm not sure how long Ingrid's going to actually keep me in the group, but until she does, if there is anything that pops up for any of you that you would like a little bit of guidance and support on, please do not feel afraid, do not hesitate to comment, because I would love to support you as much as I can. Thank you so much, Ashes, and thank you so much, Emily, for tuning in. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed the little talk. And yeah, enjoy your journey to self and really developing that self-love at a much deeper level as well. To know that, you know, you're worthy of your own pleasure. You're worthy of giving yourself love, giving yourself the love you crave and desire. And it needs to come from you first. Definitely needs to come from you first. So then you can actually go out and be that beacon of love for everyone else, as well as if you're single, you know, attract in that love that you desire. Thank you, and sending you all so much love. I'll see you soon. Bye.